Kachi was a simple man who lived in the peaceful village of Araba, near the gentle waters of the Tamu River. He spent his days tending his farm, sharing jokes with his family and friends, and enjoying the soft evening breeze. He never gave much thought to the automatic rhythms of his body, his heartbeat, his blinking eyes, or the steady rise and fall of his breath. Life was uncomplicated, and he was content. But one night, something strange happened. Kachi woke up suddenly, gasping for air. His chest felt tight, and no matter how hard he tried, his lungs refused to draw breath. His hands clawed at his throat, and panic surged through him. His vision blurred, his body trembled, and fear consumed him. Just when he thought he would suffocate, his chest opened up, and air rushed in. He coughed violently, inhaling deep, shaky breath as sweat drenched his skin. Sitting on the edge of his bed, Kachi pressed a trembling hand to his chest. "What just happened?" he whispered. He shook from head to toe. Something was terribly wrong, though he couldn't explain it. The next morning, Kachi tried to convince himself it was just a bad dream. He forced a smile as he greeted his neighbors and walked to his farm. But there was something unsettling in the air. He couldn't stop thinking about his breathing. Every inhale, every exhale felt deliberate and exhausting. If I stop thinking about it, will it stop? The thought made his fist clench. Why was he fixated on something that should happen naturally? Kachi struggled to focus on his work, but his breathing demanded his attention. His chest felt heavy, his lungs uncertain. He watched the other farmers laughing and breathing easily under the sun. Why are they fine while I am gasping for air? His heart raced. Panic seized him as he dropped his hoe and leaned against a tree, breathless. His friend Ayo noticed and hurried over. "Kelechi, are you okay?" Kelechi forced a weak smile. "I am just tired." That night, he lay in bed afraid to sleep. What if it happened again? What if his lungs forgot how to breathe? He stared at the ceiling, counting every breath. 1, 2, 3. Slowly, his eyes closed. But just as he drifted off, he jolted awake, gasping. His lungs felt locked again, and terror flooded his veins. The fear worsened with each passing day. Kelechi walked around like a shadow, distracted and hollow-eyed. His mother, Mama Adina, noticed his pale face and trembling hands. "My son, you are not well," she said softly. "I am taking you to see Baba Tade, the village healer." Baba Tade was an old man with a reputation for wisdom. He pressed his ear to Kelechi's chest, checked his pulse, and sat back with a frown. "Your body is strong," he said, "but your mind is troubled." "My mind?" Kelechi's eyes widened. "But I can't breathe." The healer stirred herbs into a bitter tonic. "Drink this, it will calm your heart." Kelechi swallowed the mixture and went home, skeptical. Days passed. but nothing changed. He remained hyper-aware of his breathing, and fear clung to him like a shadow. His limbs felt heavy, his steps slower. His friend Ayo visited again. "You must fight this," he urged. "Your body knows how to breathe." Kelechi shook his head. "If I stop thinking about it, I will die." One evening, Kelechi sat alone by the Tamu River. The steady sound of flowing water suited him, but his mind puzzled with anxiety. "Why me?" he thought, pressing a hand to his chest. "Why can't I just breathe like everyone else?" He didn't hear the footsteps behind him. An old man with a withered face and gentle eyes sat down beside him. "You look troubled," the man said. "I am," Kelechi admitted. The stranger nodded. "Tell me." So Kelechi did. He spoke of his sleepless nights, his racing heart, and the restless fear that had consumed him. When he finished, the old man gestured towards the river. "See how the water flows." Kelechi squinted. "Yes." "Does the river think about flowing?" "No," Kelechi answered, confused. The old man smiled. "That's because it doesn't need to. Water flows, wind blows, trees sway. Your breath is the same. It doesn't need your control." Kelechi's chest tightened. "But if I stop thinking about it..." "Is that true?" the man interrupted. "Or is it fear tricking you?" Kelechi swallowed hard. "I don't know." The man placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Close your eyes. Listen, not to your breathing, but to the world." Kelechi hesitated but obeyed. He heard the water whispering as it moved downstream. He heard birds singing, children laughing, and leaves rustling in the breeze. Slowly, his shoulders loosened, his jaw unclenched, and his breathing just happened. For the first time in weeks, he breathed without effort. He opened his eyes to thank the man, but the stranger was gone. The next day, Kelechi didn't count his breath. When panic stirred, he closed his eyes and listened to the world instead. And each day, the fear loosened its grip. His mother noticed the change. "You look like yourself again," she said one evening. Kelechi smiled. "I feel like myself again." But fear wasn't finished with him. One night, Kelechi woke with his heart racing and his chest tight. The old panic whispered, "You can't breathe." His throat clenched. But then he remembered the stranger's words. Like the river, he sat up, closed his eyes, and listened to the patter of rain on the roof. Gradually, his breath slowed and steadied. The fear retreated. The next morning, he told Ayo. "The fear came back," Kelechi said, "but I didn't let it control me." Ayo grinned. "That's the difference, my friend. Fear never truly leaves, but now you know how to handle it." Kelechi realized that his battle had never been about breathing. It was about control. He had been trying to control something that didn't need his intervention. He smiled as he walked home, feeling lighter than he had in months. Weeks later, a pale, anxious young lady appeared in Araba. Her breath came in rapid. Shallow gasp. Kelechi recognized that fear instantly. He approached her gently. Are you all right? I can't breathe, she stammered. Clutching her chest. Come with me, Kelechi said softly. He led her to the riverbank, where the air was cool and calming. Close your eyes, he instructed. Listen to the water. Let it breathe for you. The woman hesitated, but eventually did as he asked. Her body stayed tense for several moments, but then her shoulders dropped. Her breathing slowed, and her face softened with relief. It's working, she whispered. Kelechi smiled. Because you stopped fighting it. Breathing isn't something you do, it's something that happens. Tears filled her eyes. How did you know? Because I was once like you. He squeezed her shoulder, and someone showed me the way. The woman stayed in the village for a while. Kelechi taught her how to surrender to her breath, how to trust the world around her, and when she was ready to leave, she thanked him repeatedly. You saved me, she said. No, Kelechi replied. I only showed you the way. You saved yourself. As she disappeared into the distance, Kelechi stood by the river, watching the water glide effortlessly downstream. He smiled. The traveler had passed the lesson to him, and now he has passed it on. The circle continued. From that day on, Kelechi was known as more than a farmer. He was the man who had learned to breathe again. Fear never vanished entirely, but when it whispered, Kelechi closed his eyes, listened to the world, and remembered the truth. Life, like the river, like the wind, was not meant to be controlled. It was meant to be lived. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on your post notification button so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video. Give this video a thumbs up. Just click on the like button. Share this video with your friends and your families. Let me know what your thoughts are about this story down in the comment section. Bye for now, and I'll see you in my next video.